everybody. It's Allie, and welcome to our Y&R Chat for Sunday, October 9th, 2022. Tucker McCall is blowing Genoa City away. Literally blowing the hair off of their heads. Everybody had to hold on to their hair pieces extra tight when the helicopter showed up. Oh. The only thing that could have made Tucker's airdrop wedding entrance more awkward was if Chelsea was also there and handed him Johnny's balls blanket to unfold and fold slowly while he was there. Nice and slow. Unfold it, then fold it back up and hand it to her. Just imagine that. Or maybe if, instead of giving Summer and Kyle the vintage Bentley, Tucker could have gave Kyle a balls blanket of his own. Well, that would have been a great wedding gift. That probably would have been more weird. Yeah, more weird than just airdropping down from the sky to say hi. Well. Now the cat's out of the bag. What do you guys think of new Tucker? That's our poll question for this week at yrchat.com. What do you think of new Tucker? Do you give him a thumbs up, a thumbs down, a yay, a nay? Let me know with your vote. I know my vote is going in the thumbs up column. I'm really loving Trevor St. John, and I think he's got this very smooth and moody and natural fit of a portrayal here. I think it's great. But I also think that Gary said it best when he said it's just weird to see Tucker without an eye patch and a mullet. Which is, of course, never how he was on The Young and the Restless. But that was Stephen Nichols. That's who we think of when we think of Tucker. But Stephen Nichols didn't originate the role of Tucker. There was another actor, his name was William Russ, and he actually originated the role of Tucker. So this is Tucker number 3 now. I guess I've liked them all. The original Tucker is the one who gave Jill the catchphrase, darlin', and I guess that always seems to stick with me because after Jill met Tucker, she started calling everyone darlin'. So that's probably why I think of Tucker being with Jill more than I think of him being with Diane or Ashley or even Sharon. Soft, pure, sweet, innocent Sharon. But it seems like Tucker is only focused on Ashley. He doesn't seem to be acknowledging any of his other relationships yet. He's just completely focused. He's got Ashley on the brain, and next week it looks like he is going to end up coming face to face with her. I guess he wants to make amends for the fact that he had an affair. They were married, and I guess he ended up sleeping with Devon's mother, Harmony. I just don't know what he's hoping to accomplish here. And I mean, does Ashley really need a "so sorry for cheating on you a decade ago" talk with her ex-husband? I mean, was she supposed to swoon at the fact that he dropped a helicopter down onto the family party and had the neighbors calling the cops, filing noise complaints? I don't think so. If that's his idea of a romantic gesture, he needs to go back to romantic gesture school. I'm pretty sure that Abby has already texted Ashley at this point to let her know that Tucker is back in town, and Ashley is, I'm sure she's going to come to find out what's up, but she's probably so totally over Tucker by now. She's probably far over it, more over it than Abby is. I don't understand Abby's visceral reaction here. I don't understand why she's giving him the Diane treatment. I don't remember Tucker being perceived as a villain in town. He was just kind of your average soap opera leading guy. I mean, he had some good, he had some bad, but he certainly was not a villain. So I don't really understand Abby's reaction here. There's no need to get so upset. There's certainly no need to start an argument with Chance over it. And I don't think she necessarily even has a reason to freak out about Dominic being around Tucker, who is his grandson. Ugh, great. Does that mean we're going to have to add the name McCall to this kid's name now? Yeah, so Tucker McCall is also Devon's father. And Tucker is also important to Devon's life, not just because he's his dad, but also because he's Devon's connection to Catherine. This is why Devon is connected to Chancellor Winters in 2 ways. He's connected to the company in 2 ways, which is why it's going to make Nate's betrayal cut twice as deep, or maybe even Tucker's betrayal, as we've had some hints of. Oh, Chancellor Winters, it was very nice to see Esther there this week. She was so excited about Devon's entry-level position. You get 1 hour paid lunch and 2 15-minute breaks. Welcome to the team. I think Esther's going to make a perfectly nice receptionist. She's probably going to fall in love with one of the clients and end up, getting her money swindled away. She does have that inheritance from Catherine, right? I think she got like $1 million when Catherine passed away, so she probably doesn't need the job, but it's good to have her there. It's good to hear her waxing sentimental about Mrs. C. I really liked hearing Esther talk about how Catherine was underestimated all those years ago by the other people in business because she had inherited the company and her position from her husband. But Catherine was a female CEO at a time where that was unheard of, where not everyone was a CEO or a COO. So I like hearing Esther's stories about Catherine. And many, many years later, Tucker turned out to be Catherine's son, came into her life later in life, which I secretly have always resented Tucker for. I've always secretly resented Tucker because that was the twist that untwisted Jill and Catherine being mother and daughter. And you know how I feel about that storyline. That hit me at the right time, in the right place. I really wanted to believe that after all the years of fighting, Catherine and Jill turned out to be mother and daughter. And then, so it turned out that the baby that Catherine gave away wasn't even a girl, it was a boy, and it was Tucker. So, yeah, blah, 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 blah. Just like Chemo's death, I will never accept it fully. But we all have our things. So Tucker showed up at Chancellor Winters to see Devon. He kind of just appeared in the doorway looking very pouty and very broody and his hat in his hand like he was looking for some sort of forgiveness, which Devon didn't seem to be bitter at all. Devon accepted Tucker right away, took him out to dinner. But he did also admit to Abby on Friday that he is wondering if there's more to Tucker being in town than meets the eye, which is the same thing that everyone is wondering. It's the same thing that Lily was wondering. Her radar went up about Tucker being there right away. I mean, the timing is completely suspect. It's like right as Chancellor Winters is getting ready to go public, all of a sudden, a spare billionaire shows up in town that we haven't seen in forever. Well, Devon took him out to dinner and entertained his reasons for staying away, which I found to be very engaging. I just think Trevor St. John is a completely natural fit in this role. I'm comfortable with him as Tucker immediately. I'm comfortable with him as Devon's father or biological father immediately. And I really like listening to his story. He's so relaxed in the way that he talks, and he just seems like he's been there forever. I liked hearing him talk about his thrill-seeking days, or him being on the back roads of Monaco or whatever, racing, I don't know, was it cars? He's racing cars on the back roads of Monaco, and he got into a crash, which put him into a hospital for a couple of weeks, and now he's come out of it with a renewed appreciation for the power of now. I thought that was a really good scene. But he could be lying. I mean, it could all just be a ruse. Tucker says that he's in town because he wants to reconnect with Devon and Ashley and get to know his grandson. And Devon seemed open to that. He seemed willing to take it at face value, but with that shred of question in it. But, I mean, Devon doesn't really have any reason to not trust his father yet. Any more than he has reason to not trust Nate or to see coming what Nate's planning on doing to him. Now that Tucker's back, the Newmans have also picked up on the timing of this and finding it a little suspect. They're like, hey, great minds think alike. Maybe Tucker's planning a takeover of Chancellor Winters just like we are. Victoria found out about it and actually was the one who told Nate about it. And then she gave him his marching orders to keep an eye on things and keep her apprised. And then Victor followed up with a visit to Tucker's hotel room with Diane hiding in the background, of course. Classic. I appreciated that. You know, I appreciate that athletic club hotel room too, including the bathroom. Looks exactly like how I remember it in my mind. Victor is actually someone who probably has a legitimate reason to dislike Tucker. They were always jockeying for control of whatever the various company and that was up for grabs of the day. So they are business rivals. I could see Victor not liking him. And that's certainly how it all came off. I mean, Victor showed up at the hotel room and they sat there keeping mostly casual chat at the time. But what I liked about it, that it was, you know, all of these niceties on the surface, but then there was this rivalry and the backhanded compliments and the digs underneath of it all. It's like the niceties were the top layer of icing on top of the rivalry cake. So I think that's going to be fun to watch because you can tell that both actors are very skilled and just really nice and to watch and to dig into the motivations and those slow scenes. Victor and Tucker covered a wide range of topics. You know, I liked hearing Victor digging at Tucker a little bit about his time as a spiritual seeker. Somehow I can actually see this Tucker sitting on top of a mountaintop somewhere with a shaved head and a very brown, boring robe or something. And I liked that Victor kind of scoffed at that. They also talked about Ashley. Victor, no surprise, warned Tucker to stay away from Ashley. Tucker said, "I'm sure you consider that chivalry." I laughed at that a little bit. I also laughed at how Victor told Tucker that he should not show up at Devon's house in a helicopter if he's looking to make amends. Apparently, Tucker did decide to take that advice. Oh, and they talked about Diane, with Diane right there in the bathroom. Victor made it very clear that he does not believe Tucker's turnaround story any more than he believes Diane's turnaround story. But no one has any proof yet that they're connected. Tucker did not reveal this week that he has a connection to Diane. He didn't tell anyone about that. He walked right up to her at the party and acted like this was the first time he'd ever seen her alive, like he was as shocked about it as everyone else. And then he shoved her in the bathroom when Victor showed up and protected her to an extent. He later told her that, he seems to understand her position and he just needs one more thing from her and then she's going to be free. He just needs her to tell him when Ashley arrives back in town, and then anything that he's holding over her will be done. Their deal will be done, which I'm sure is not going to be the case. That's kind of how blackmail works, and it's sort of an emotional blackmail, it seems, in a way, between Tucker and Diane. He said deal. He said, our deal can be done. So this implies that he's done something for her, and now she has to do something for him. But I don't know what it is that she did for him. I mean, as best I can tell, the only deal they had was that Diane has been feeding some kind of mundane information about the Abbotts back to Tucker? It just doesn't seem like a very big deal to me. But it's also not the 100% honesty guarantee that Diane Jenkins has been selling since she came back. Diane feels the walls closing in, and probably rightly so. I'm sure that if it comes out that she has got a connection to Tucker, who everyone seems to hate as much as they hate her, then I'm sure that everyone will see it as proof positive that Diane is exactly the awful person that they've suspected all along. They'll see it as confirmation that they were all right all along. Victor has been devoting his resources to Nikki's research project on that Bentley that Diane was seen in LA, and also the company that owns it and who the investors in the company are. Nikki and Phyllis seem to pick up on that Bentley connection right away, which is a little bit of a leap, but also kind of cool. I sort of like the idea of the Bentley. I think a Bentley is a cool car, so I like that I have that in my mind as part of the story and just as part of the, I don't know, the Tucker's style, and it was connected to John Abbott. It's just an interesting little a little prop for in my mind. Tucker's name is not on the list of investors in this company, so it's clearly a shell company. So Tucker's not connected to the Bentley yet, but that is not stopping Nikki from pursuing the connection. So what was the name? Private Image? The company who owns the Bentley is Private Image, and that's an entertainment company, and this entertainment company apparently funds a lot of UK artists, and one of the subsidiaries, I guess, or one of the companies that they fund is called Wild Beauty. This is a lot to keep track of, don't you think? It's like shell corporations within shell corporations, but Wild Beauty is certainly a connection to Ashley. So the fact that this is a UK-based company tells Nikki that, oh, okay, well, UK artists, I'm going to go to Noah to find out about that. And wouldn't you know it, Noah reveals that, wait for it, Audra worked for Wild Beauty. Oh, gee! Could it be that Audra is employed by one of Tucker's shell companies, and now she's suddenly on the inside of this Chancellor Winters IPO in a very key role? I love it. I really love it. I think that's a good twist, because suddenly Tucker's cool, calm demeanor is more enjoyable to me, knowing that maybe he's got his own person on the inside of Chancellor Winters, just like Victoria has with Nate. And so I look forward to Victoria and Tucker going head to head. And I mean, who knows, maybe even falling in love. You never know. There's a lot of potential here for who Tucker will end up hooking up with. But Audra conveniently ran into Noah at the Grand Phoenix grand opening party, and that was where it was first revealed to us that she was Noah's mystery ex, and she clearly got him all shook up inside. He even kind of was close to biting Allie's head off when Allie just simply asked him who this woman was. He got really, really edgy. So she's under his skin. I mean, no matter what he says, she's under his skin. And by the looks of her, she looks like she knows it. Audra seems very confident. Audra seems to be the complete opposite of Allie. Audra's like a sex bomb that's just getting ready to fire off at any moment on someone. And Allie is so much more poised, I would say, and calm and measured, you know. And there's this kind of icky, sticky little moment where Audra called Allie cute. In fact, I think she said it twice, called her cute, and it was kind of condescending. And I'm hoping that maybe that's a clue that Allie is going to decide to stop being cute and to start getting a little more fierce. I think that maybe it's time for Allie to assert herself here. I like that Allie was confident and cool, and she was trusting in what she and Noah had. But we also know from her talks with Tracy a couple weeks ago that she has to work at that. She hasn't had a lot of relationship experience. None of this is easy for her. She's kind of new to it all. She's an introvert. And so I think it will be interesting to see what this brings out in Allie, because when it comes right down to it, I believe that Allie could get the better of Audra. I think people often mistake kindness for weakness. And I wonder if that's a mistake that Audra is going to make around Allie, because I think Allie is a fighter. And as Chemo's daughter, I am rooting for her to be victorious. Nick and Sally both showed up together on each other's arm at the Glam Club grand opening, and they definitely turned some heads. They decided that was a good place to have a relationship talk. It seemed like they were both wondering, questioning whether or not what they have started is worth pursuing, considering it's going to end up making a lot of people unhappy or uncomfortable. But ultimately, after talking in circles around it, they decided to just not label it, which in a way takes them back to square one for relationship status. But it also shows that both of them understand and accept the consequences that what their relationship is going to do to other people, or how it will affect other people. Not that it necessarily matters in all cases. Because, for instance, Noah warned Nick about Summer's reaction, and, who cares what Summer thinks about her dad's new girlfriend? But we know she's gonna disapprove, and I don't know, maybe she has reason to. But I think that's gonna hurt Nick if and when Summer disapproves of his new girlfriend. I think that's really gonna hurt Nick, and maybe put some stress on he and Sally's relationship, because he said to Sally this week, "My daughter means the world to me," so I can't imagine that her feelings are going to be just disregarded. And then there's Adam. I really appreciated Nick and Adam's coffee house conversation this week. First of all, I'll say it again. I think these two guys make better brothers than enemies. It is only in moments like the coffee house this week that I even get a sense that they are brothers. They don't feel like it at all. They don't feel like brothers at all. Victoria almost seems like a bossy big sister to Adam in a way, but Nick doesn't seem like anything to Adam. Adam saved Faith's life more than once, and Nick just almost seems so weirdly neutral toward him, if not hostile. But it's like it's not one thing or another. It's sometimes annoyed, sometimes hostile, sometimes nothing. But I just think that, considering Adam saved Nick's daughter's life, and that he's his brother, I would like to see Nick find a way to make some actual room for Adam in his life in a positive way. And does that mean he should, give up his girlfriend? No. But they talked about that a little bit. They talked about everything a little bit. I mean, Adam reminded Nick that things used to be good between them after Adam coughed up the kidney, of course. Coughing up the kidney bought Adam a little bit of good grace with Nick for a little while. But now everything's kind of back to being tense. And Adam, I thought, was just asking to be heard about his feelings for Sally. And what Adam said was, look, if you don't love her, and if you don't think that you could love her, then please reconsider the relationship that you're starting with her, because I do love her. And I think that, as Chloe said, Sally is right in the middle of the two guys. She said she could go either way. She's right dead smack dab in the middle. She could go back to Adam, or she could move forward with Nick. She just doesn't know. But Adam said, can you back off and give me a chance to fix this? And I really liked that approach. I don't know why, but somehow that really won me over. Somehow that approach was better than him always constantly I don't know, begging Sally, that hasn't really worked out for him, and it hasn't really worked out for me. I think that if Adam really wants to get Sally back, he's going to have to find a new strategy, and talking to Nick maybe was just trying to buy some time, but Adam's got to do something other than just pleading with her. And I don't know, I mean, maybe neither Nick or Sally owe him anything, and maybe Adam's strategy just needs to be to go out and be successful and to prove that he's the man that she thought that he was before he got all sucked into the Newman family drama again. Are they just letting anyone and everyone wander onto the roof of the Grand Phoenix Hotel these days? Seems dangerous to me. Detective Chancellor, we got a couple of lunatics screaming from the roof of the Grand Phoenix Hotel. You want to get down here with the tear gas? Stat! That was weird. It was definitely weird. I'm going to start at the beginning because I really loved seeing Billy try to help Chelsea, because Billy has every reason to want to keep his distance from Chelsea right now. Lily actually encouraged Billy by saying, you guys are cut from the same cloth. But then in the previews for next week, Victoria was telling Billy that he needs to keep Chelsea away from Johnny. So I'm sure that Billy feels guilty on some level for encouraging Chelsea and giving her all this hope with the podcast thing, and then pulling away from it, and that is what really fueled this latest round of depression. And so I like that Billy can see that Chelsea is struggling. He recognizes her instability because he also struggles with instability. But the rooftop screaming thing, although it was very entertaining, it's such a typical Billy response. I mean, screaming your head off may feel really good in the moment. It may give you that adrenaline rush that many addicts are so fond of. But it doesn't present any type of effective solution. Chelsea had gone off and told Connor about Johnny, saying, oh, well, Johnny's my son, and that means he's your brother. And she did it without talking to Adam. By the way, Adam couldn't show up, and so he assumed that the plan would have been to reschedule the talk in the park, which the park is apparently the place where children receive bad news in Genoa City. But instead of just waiting for Adam, waiting for Connor to be able to have both of his parents there, Chelsea just went ahead and told Connor, and Connor's reaction was very similar to Johnny's. Why did you tell me this? I didn't want to know this. And then Connor pretty much did the same thing that Johnny did, which was run away and shut the parents out, which is the opposite of the outcome that anyone would have wanted. Chelsea didn't want this, but the reason that all of this has gone bad with Johnny and with Connor is because it grew out of a place of selfishness in Chelsea. And Billy and Victoria just, I think out of guilt, went along with it. Chelsea wanted this for herself. And I think she masked it as it being for Johnny and Connor. I think Chelsea decided that this was best, and Billy and Victoria got caught up in it. Nobody really talked to the kids to find out if they were ready to have this bomb dropped on them. And now it's all blown up, and Chelsea is feeling more despondent than ever. She went back up to that rooftop by herself and let out a scream. But was everyone thinking that she was thinking about jumping? It felt very dark, because I legitimately thought, oh my God, is Chelsea going to end her own life? Is this it? Is she going to fake her own death or something, or really die? I don't know. It was such a dark moment. I think we need to install some railings up there at the Grand Phoenix rooftop or something. We need to double lock the doors, but I don't know. I don't want to think about that again, because that was a really sad moment of the week. I don't want to feel like someone's going to go up there to scream their head off and end up jumping to their death. Ugh. Yeah, Chelsea was almost out of this world in a way, in a fog or something. Because when she came down from the rooftop, she stumbled into the coffee house, and she had this look about her like she almost didn't even know where she had wandered to. But then she had this really great, organic conversation with Sharon, and I thought it was really good. I thought Sharon's advice was so dead on, and I thought maybe it was going to be exactly what Chelsea needed to turn things around, because what Sharon said was, well, wait a minute. Just because everything feels so hopeless right now doesn't mean that it won't change in the future. I mean, situations change, feelings change, people change, and things are always changing. So don't give up, Chelsea, and don't ignore all of the good things that you have in your life just to focus on what's not going right for you. And I thought, oh, Chelsea had to have heard this. This was such great advice, and yet at the same time that it was seeming like she heard it, it also seemed like she did not hear it, because Chelsea kept circling everything back to Ray and how good he was, and then circling it back to Sharon and how good she is. And Chelsea just didn't seem to be accepting that she has the power to be anything that she wants to be. She has the power to control the situation. Some people just don't have that guiding light, so to speak. When Chelsea said, "Why can't I do anything right?" that was such a relatable moment. Because who hasn't felt that way before? Why can't I do anything right? But you have to realize that it's just a moment and it will pass. And Chelsea just seems stuck in the bad feelings, like she's just unable to move past them. And maybe it was a mistake that Sharon suggested Chelsea getting some help right now, like right this instant. But I think Sharon was picking up on the same thing that we were thinking when she was on the rooftop, like this woman might harm herself. She needs help now. I mean, wait an hour and it could make a huge difference. But Chelsea did not respond well to Sharon's suggestion. She stood up from the table, knocked a chair forward, which was the second time she did that this week too. She's been lashing out physically. She did the same thing with Adam, stood up from the table and threw the little hissy fit with the chair, and then she ran away. But there's just nowhere to hide. You have to do the work. That's the point. You have to do the work. And when people around you that you trust are telling you that you need to get help, you need to take that into consideration and get some help. Sharon had told Adam about everything that had just happened, and I think Adam feels really similarly to how Billy feels, which is responsible. He feels responsible, which is not true. Not Adam, not Billy, not anybody is responsible for Chelsea and her life and her actions and her thoughts but Chelsea. Chelsea's in control, she just doesn't realize it. She keeps making these decisions. She can't seem to leave well enough alone. She overheard Billy and Johnny having a conversation at the coffee house, talking all about the maternity issue. And Johnny was saying that, he's done with it. If everyone is telling him that the decision is up to him as to what he does with the information now, then he's made the decision. He's made the choice. He doesn't want to talk about Chelsea anymore. He just wants to go back to his life as usual, which is the only life he's ever known. It's hard to believe that Chelsea would ever even show her face at the coffee house again after the weird blow-up that she had with Sharon, but there she was, standing there, listening to this conversation, eavesdropping, and she couldn't let it alone. She overheard that Johnny would be in the park, so she followed him there, which is so desperate and so inappropriate, and I hate to say it, but she got what she had coming. The truth. Johnny's truth. She tried talking to him, tried smoothing it out, but he didn't want to hear it. I don't know what made her think it was going to be any different. Johnny he really let loose on her. I think the actor did a great job, by the way, in that scene with Chelsea, but also in the scene with Billy at the coffee house, too. He really seems like Billy's son. I liked that he was given the opportunity to be sarcastic in that way, the same way that Billy is, and he got in a couple of good zings with Billy. I thought that the dialogue for Johnny, that was written for Johnny, seemed very age-appropriate. I really took note of the moment where, after Billy and he were kind of bantering at the table about, you know, feeding him too much and all that. They had a good moment. They seemed to agree. All was going well. It's clear that father loves son and son loves father. And Johnny gets up to go walk out the door, and Billy says, "I love you." And Johnny just looked at him, kind of smiled and nodded and turned and left. And I dread the moment where I tell my daughter that I love her and she stops wanting to say it back. But it's all, I guess, part of that awkwardness of growing up, and I just noted that, and I thought it felt very real. But on top of the awkwardness, I mean, Johnny's a teen. Johnny's going through a lot of teen emotions, a lot of teen stuff, and it's real. I mean, teen hormones, all that's so real, and I'm sure he's got, like, rage boiling now over what has all just happened. And he did not hold back on Chelsea. He let it rip. He had a couple of pretty good insults for her. Which, it's hard not to feel kind of bad for Chelsea. I don't think that Chelsea had malicious intentions with any of this. I really don't. And I don't wish ill for her in any way. In fact, I am rooting for Chelsea to get it together. But I think she had it coming with Johnny, and she got it. She sure got it. Well, Chance showed up in the park, fresh off of his argument about Tucker with Abby, and they sort of commiserated together like two dark birds on a branch. I mean, they kind of are similar. They're sort of two brooding dark birds sitting on a branch. But I don't think Chance had any idea how dark Chelsea was actually feeling, because he then took her to the coffee house, and the look on his face was like, oh, damn. When they got there, and Chelsea freaked out the moment she saw Sharon and Adam was there too, and she just, I guess, assumed that she had walked into an intervention or something for herself. She was like, what are you're all here? You're all here to take me away? It was so paranoid. Oh my gosh, Melissa Claire Egan is so good, right? I mean, the story's gotten better. I mean, this has probably become my favorite story of the week. It's the most that I've had thoughts about this week. It's all become so good and so believable, and it is just so compelling to follow these fascinating threads of Chelsea's unraveling. Okay, cue the violins. That was last week's Who Said It quote. Cue the violins. You guys probably feel that way about Chelsea. But it was Nick who said it. And he was not talking about Chelsea. He was talking about Adam. They were having an argument in Victoria's office. And Nick was having no sympathy for the love triangle and for Adam's love plight. He said, cue the violins. Oh, well, here's a round of applause for this week's winners. Daisy, Alyssa, Ron, Victoria, Deedles, Brittany, Kamna, Tina, and, drumroll please, Henry. Congratulations, all of you. Now here's a classic quote, but you can tell me if you think you know who said it. Don't judge a book by its cover. Who said that? Don't judge a book by its cover. If you think you know, go to yrchat.com to leave your guess. And if you get it right, I will give you your shout out during next week's Y&R Chat. Well, let's keep talking about Chelsea with the comments. Jamie says, Fairview's direct care staff better brace themselves for Hurricane Chelsea. She's on the fast track for another extended stay. Not gonna lie, I'm all for an unhinged Chelsea storyline, as long as none of Genoa City's youth residents are harmed by her actions. Yeah, Yes, I know. It's compelling at the end of the day. It's not good as in good for her or, good things happening, but it feels real. And it certainly is compelling. Oh, Diana says, I feel like Y&R may be overdoing the Johnny and Connor situation by having them overreact to finding out that Chelsea is Johnny's biological mother. It would make sense if Johnny never knew that Victoria wasn't his biological mother, but that's not the case. I'm not so sure that Johnny or Connor would be that angry about it. The more I think about it, I would think that Connor and Johnny would be a little excited to know that they are siblings. I also feel like Y&R has Johnny talking like an adult when he was speaking with his father at the coffee house. Y&R has always had children saying things that kids would never say. They need to work on more age-appropriate dialogue for kids. Oh, maybe that's why it spoke to me, because I'm an adult, and so maybe it was just dialogue that spoke to me because I'm an adult. But you're a teacher, I think, Diana, so you would probably know that maybe that's not age-appropriate. What was he again? Did we say he was 10 or 11? I don't remember. No, that's interesting, too, that you think that Johnny and Connor, in reality, would have had positive reactions to this news. I guess I just read it as, oh gosh, kids don't like change. And so I didn't notice that seemed off in their reactions. But I think eventually they would evolve into a more positive place with it and be happy to have brothers. But even Johnny, Chelsea said something about brother, and Johnny corrected her real quick. Cousin. I just think it's so easy. He's in denial, right? And that seems like a reaction that I could identify with. That's sort of the first stage, right, of receiving bad news. Denial. That's where they both are. But no, it's a good point. Let's see. Well, we'll flip over to this. Let's talk about Nick and Adam, because Ellen says Adam tells Nick everything, brother to brother. He loves Sally and wants to give her everything. He asks Nick to back off. Nick has very little invested in the relationship with Sally. They're just getting to know each other. And so what does Nick do? Does he honor Adam's request and let Sally know what Adam asked? Does he make sure Sally's really done with Adam and ready for a new relationship with Adam's brother of all people? Problematic at minimum. Nope. He just takes Sally to Noah's opening. Nick is immature and a terrible brother. Adam's not the bad guy. The Adam is evil narrative on this show is such nonsense. Many other people are worse, or at least nasty, and definitely selfish. Yeah, Nick did disregard it all. I guess I found Adam's plea to be very heartfelt. It spoke to me very much. And it almost seemed like Nick was going to take it into consideration. Adam had to, remind him of the kidney thing for Nick to even listen. Then they went to the club, and I thought, okay, well, maybe they're going to call it off. And frankly, I was a little bit happy. Sorry, it's just not my favorite couple. I don't hate it, but Nick and we were building with Adam and Sally. It felt like it was going somewhere, and then all of a sudden I was like, okay, well that's done, and now we're just skipping over to brother. Well, I was sort of hoping that Nick would have taken it all into consideration, but Nick doesn't owe Adam that, But Nick also didn't mention the conversation with Adam, but Sally wouldn't have appreciated it. If she had known that Adam said that to Nick, it probably wouldn't have endeared her to Adam anymore. And Sally's the factor here too. I mean, she should get to choose, and she is choosing. She's choosing Nick, I guess. I mean, she's heard everything Adam has to say, and she still chooses Nick. So I don't know. It's a little bit of a sticky wicket, but I was just kind of hoping that the conversation with Nick, as compelling as it was going to lead to maybe them deciding to call it off. But I'm sure Nick and Sally have a fan base of people rooting for them to hook it up and keep hooking it up and keep going. Laura says it would be so fun if Adam could have said to Nick, putting the Sally issue aside, this is what's going on with Johnny and Connor. I want Adam and Nick to work together for the sake of the two boys, plus Christian and Victoria. They could work together to rein in off-the-rails Chelsea while at the same time throwing funny digs at each other about Sally. Victor and Jack do that now after all those years of animosity, and it's such a gift. It adds a rich texture to the relationship, and I want more humor in the show. Everyone's personality is so well developed, there's plenty of room to play. Yeah, oh, that's so good. Yeah, Adam and Nick working together to help Connor and Johnny and bringing Christian into the mix. I think that's a great suggestion, and I think that would have been a far more compelling direction rather than just the brother-Sally love triangle. Ellen says, since when are Sally and Chloe close friends? Just stop with these totally inappropriate conversations at work and give Sally a real friend, and it has to be someone who doesn't hate Adam. Well, how about Tessa? I think Sally should have become friends with Tessa. They would have made a really natural pair of friends, and then it would have given some different kinds of stories too for Tessa. Sherrod says, while the young couples of Skyle, let's see, that's Summer and Kyle, and Nally, that's Noah and Allie, well, they were all allowed to kiss and touch each other and later sit around after the wedding behaving like actual couples, Taraya disappeared. Why? Were they sent home to socially distance off screen? It's like Y&R said, give them the wedding, which was used for ratings and advertising dollars, but then never let them touch again. Because since the wedding, the treatment of Tessa and Mariah has been abysmal. Zero story and not a shred of intimacy. I've said it before, the regular writers don't know how or what to write, or don't know how or don't want to write for a same-sex couple. You know, Mariah and Tessa just totally disappeared at that wedding, and they have really been off screen since the wedding. I'm usually commenting on the stories that are of the week, and then I realize later, like, oh yeah, we didn't even see Tessa and Mariah for a while. I thought it was very weird that they were sharing the roles of officiating Kyle and Summer's wedding. I thought it, like you, Sherrod, you'd mentioned that it was weird that Noah was standing between Mariah and Tessa. I thought that was just a weird choice to have Noah there in the middle and the girls over on the side of him. I thought it was a weird choice to have 3 people officiating the wedding. And you had also mentioned that Mariah and Tessa give more gal pal vibes than romantic partners, and I really think that's a very fair comment. Like the Mariah and frankly the whole wedding of Kyle and Summers was a bit off to me. I didn't care for the toasts. I just sort of tuned it all out, I'm sorry to say, but only because it felt like just a total backdrop for the Tucker drama. Maybe I was just waiting for Tucker to show up and out of the sky and what all was going to happen. I was waiting for the drama. I wasn't as interested in the wedding, but maybe it also could have been equal parts about the wedding and equal parts about the Tucker drama. Just that the balance was way off on the wedding in general, but I appreciate your larger point about the balance being off between Mariah and Tessa too. Victoria says, I love Diane, but her toast at the wedding was all about her. Everyone else talked about Kyle and Summer, and Diane's like a broken record, reminding everyone how hard she's worked to change, and how grateful she is to Kyle for the chance to be in his life. I wonder if Diane will have to come up with a new tune if Tucker McCall betrays her. Yeah, the speeches, I was just like... And yeah, Diana sure is she's just scrambling at every moment of every day. Sue W. says, what am I missing? Why is Diane's riding in a Bentley with scandalous photo evidence so heinous and so incriminating? And Gary says, yeah, big deal. Is this all you got? Ellen says, I think I need some flashbacks to remind me why I'm supposed to dislike Tucker so much. Is Diane just going to be guilty by association because she was a pal of his? Did Tucker really buy Chemo's house and that's what will make Jack mad? I don't get it either. Yes, okay, so it just doesn't seem like whatever Diane did was that big of a deal, and I don't understand why there's such a negative reaction toward Tucker. And I think, as Ellen pointed out, we're gonna need some flashbacks or something. But then again, they can't do that. But they can't do that because it's a recast. But they also really didn't address a whole lot of this in the dialogue either. I mean, Abby, I guess, like the whole beef around Ashley and Tucker is maybe about the affair, but Y&R didn't say anything about that. I had to go online to look up what even happened with Tucker and Ashley, and I guess he had an affair on her with Harmony, blah, blah, blue. But yeah, it's like the whole week has been this, it's supposed to be some dramatic response to Tucker, being back in town, and they just didn't do a whole lot also to explain why everyone distrusts him. I feel like Tucker is getting the villain edit, and I don't get that. Y&R's gonna have to tell me why he's a villain, and they haven't done that. Certainly not with Abby. I mean, Abby's reaction was such a, that everybody had we had a lot of comments talking about that. Naomi says, Abby protecting her son and mother from Tucker is unreasonable even for Abby. I loved Chance looking first slightly amused and then irritated enough to cut the lunch short. Abby's not a good match for this common sense guy. You need to pack your flannels, Chance, and get out now. Pack your flannels, Chance, and get out now. I love that. That's funny. And yeah, because he said he did cut the lunch short too. Because he said, I got a meeting, and then we saw him show up at the park. Maybe he went to his meeting and then went to the park, but he certainly didn't want to go home. Certainly didn't want to keep talking to her. The whole Chance and Abby argument is fully about Abby and Chance breaking up so that Chelsea and Chance can get together. Abby was so upset with Chance, and then she was absolutely elated a couple of scenes later when Devon showed up. Well, what does that tell you? I think we can see the writing on the wall there. TB84 says, Abby gets on my nerves. I admired her standing up for her mother and the whole anti-Tuckerness, but demanding from Chance to have her backs on this made me a little angry, and I think of her as a selfish person right now. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it was a big reaction for not a lot of explanation. Ellen asks, wait, so Tucker is Chance's uncle? Is that right? Because Philip, too, and Tucker are both Catherine's sons. So Abby, taking this harsh stance against Tucker, is telling Chance to banish a family member. Did I miss that part of the conversation? I heard Chance ask Abby if maybe she was overreacting, but I didn't hear him say anything about Tucker being family to him. Maybe I missed it. Oh my gosh, that's the best point of the week. Oh my gosh. So, yes, Tucker is Chance's uncle, and Abby was up on her high horse talking about him putting family first. She even kind of twisted his words a little bit, saying like, oh, well, I'm glad to know your family made the top 2. Working family. I'm glad to know your family made the top 2. And then here she is harping on him about family when Tucker is his uncle. Oh, that is rich. That is rich. And no, I didn't hear him say that either. Oh man, why didn't the writers should have done that? Maybe they missed it. Maybe they don't realize, or maybe they didn't pick up on that. But dang, that's a good point. I almost need a moment to recover from how good that point is. Okay, well, I'll just have to keep reading then. My brain is gone. Daisy says, I think Tucker returned to purchase his mother's company not just for himself, but for his son and grandson, to keep Catherine's business and her direct line and her legacy alive. We'll see. He may have had an awakening of sorts, but you never know. Yeah, I think that makes sense. Because as the week has gone on, it seemed like maybe Tucker has an ulterior motive, and certainly it would have to be motivated by the fact that maybe he wants his mother's company, and maybe he wants to pass it on to his line, or maybe he just wants to greedily have it for himself. But it's just going to be so interesting if Tucker swoops in and gets the company. But before we talk about that, let's talk about Esther, because Victoria says, what to find Esther as the receptionist. I wonder if her receptionist skills will mirror the literal style of Amelia Bedelia's A Children's Book. Will Esther copy and paste a message to all of the executives for Devon by hand copying his note and then pasting it on envelopes? There won't be a dull moment in the Chancellor Winters with Esther around. I love that idea. I'm not familiar with this children's book, though, but I love the idea of Esther doing things in a very backwards, also strange, kooky little Esther way. Gary says, 50-year flashback. Well, yes, Catherine Chancellor's credited mantra was, I'm gonna live until I die, laugh instead of cry. But truth, she spent a lot of the early years, wasted years, moping about the mansion, sad sacking it, and feeling sorry for herself. Furs, diamonds, and booze may well have accompanied her image in the opening credits if they had done it that way back then. Viewers love gossip, but not a word on the cleaning CEO Esther is supposedly off-screen dating in her scenes of today. What's up? Oh, first of all, I love that real take on Catherine. She's definitely become much more, immortalized as time has gone on. But yes, furs, diamonds, and booze may very well have been floating down in the background of her opening credit. Gosh, I love that visual idea. But also, yeah, Esther was last seen dating, oh shoot, I can't think of his name now, Sam something, the cleaning executive. She was seen dating him, and then we never got an update on that. Oh, what about all the cleaning that Esther is going to do at Chancellor Winters? I mean, those public restrooms are going to be spick and span now. Okay, so now let's jump over to the business juggling drama. I asked you guys last week, are Victoria and Nate going to be successful with their takeover of Chancellor Winters? This is pretty surprising. 70% of you say no. You think Victoria and Nate are not going to pull it off. Only 30% voting yes that they will. Well, Sue W. voted yes, but because I hope that's how the story goes. Not because I do or don't like Victoria or Devon or whoever, but I want the story to catch fire and then lead to a spectacular Newman downfall and then renewed Newman success and then failure and then so on, and so on. I know, I love that about you, Sue W. I'm here for the drama of it all, too. But Tony says, no, you don't think that Victoria and Nate will be successful, and then Nate will tie his wagon and sell his shares to whoever wins the bid. Ooh, yeah. It's so interesting. I just love the idea of Nate and Victoria coming up with this whole plan, getting ready to put it into action, and then Tucker swoops in and just messes up their plan and comes in to kind of save Devon unknowingly. I mean, that's going to sure make him a hero to his son. But I'm also completely looking forward to seeing Nate absolutely humiliated. I'm looking forward to seeing Nate absolutely humiliated. He is going to look so good in tears. Henry voted no on Nate and Victoria's takeover plans, but I did so with much hesitation. Now that Tucker's back, I think he's going to factor into that equation somehow. You left this comment early in the week. But also, I'm not convinced that Audra Charles is on the level. Again, early in the week, but lastly, Elena could spill the beans at any time. This is an intriguing storyline. So yeah, I mean, you've laid out the ways that this can go wrong, and we're seeing little hints of it more as the week has gone on. So Nate and Victoria have their plan, but Henry's laying out 3 factors here. Number 1's Tucker, number 2 is Audra, and number 3 is Elena. Well, let's talk about Audra and Allie and all that. Sue W. says, I have found Allie and Noah boring. Time for ho-hum Allie to up her game. She has sputtered a bit of faux spunk now and again, but it's always fizzled out. I want Allie to rise up and roars. Be a don't mess with me Spitfire who lays claim to her man. But somehow I suspect Allie will instead do the equivalent of reclining on a window seat, bathed in moonlight, while wishing on a star for her prince to remain true. A chatter, sorry, I don't recall who, recently noted the similarities between Kyle and Lola and Noah and Allie's relationships. For me, Allie does fill the role of Lola as the lovely yet meh ingenue learning about love and life, which is the least interesting part of a soap for me. I need more than sweet and cute. So here's your opportunity, Allie. I'm pulling for you to not disappoint. I just love the idea of Allie in the windowsill. So, bathed in moonlight, wishing on a star that her prince will come. Yeah, maybe it is a little Disney. And, maybe it's not for us. I agree. Allie and Noah are fine. But I'm a daytime drama viewer. I'm old. I have been raised on soap operas. Since I was 13 years old, I have been watching the show. So everything in me wants that drama. But there's a lot of maybe newer viewers to whom that speaks a little bit more. So maybe there's a little something for everyone on this show. But I also, and the thing is, like, Allie is going to rise up and she's going to become a Spitfire, but then it kind of just makes her like everyone else. So maybe the fact that Allie is a little more dreamy, a little more, I don't know, I don't think naive is the word. I mean, she's told us that she's not. So let's see what she does. Let's hold out hope and see what Allie does, and hope the writers have a plan for her that is something a little more than just but not betraying herself and that to just become more like any of the other girls on the show. I do like that she's different, but I like it, and I sort of watch it and I go, but then I don't have anything to comment about, But Daisy says, on the surface it looks like if Audra, Charles, and Noah were romantically involved. But I wonder if it's something else. Audra may have witnessed something that Noah had done, found out who his family is, and she's in town to get something from him for her silence. Also, I think Allie will be very hurt when she finds out that Noah has not been honest with her, be it that he's pining for Audra or that they have a secret together. But I don't think Allie's easily intimidated. I think she'll fight for Noah, and Audra will not know what hit her. Yeah, because I think it throws you off when someone is genuine. I think we sort of assume people to be like Audra, and maybe someone like Audra would have a harder time battling with someone like Allie because she's genuine and true, and maybe her motives are on the up and up and not under the surface, unless they are. I mean, I don't know. But I like your idea too that Audra may be in town for more about Noah than about Tucker and the IPO or anything else. And there's still a possibility maybe she's not connected to Tucker. We don't know. That could be a red herring to throw us off. Oh, here's a good question. I gotta ask this because I don't know the answer. Diane K says, I've noticed a few times now that there's a woman's picture hanging on the wall of the coffee house. Who is she? Okay, this is a great question because we had Employee of the Month, Pat Foley, right there behind, at the coffee house behind the counter. But this looks like a new picture. And the woman, and I think Pat Foley was pre-COVID, and the woman in the picture is wearing a mask. So, is that someone maybe on the Y&R staff, and they got picked to have their picture there? That's kind of cool for them. Has anybody else gotten a really good zoom in on that? I guess I should be the one with all of my screen caps to go and zoom in on that and find out what it says. I'm kind of imagining it's the Employee of the Month, and maybe they just changed the picture. Oh, well, Y&R fan 1977 says, Allie, did you know that Y&R has a new podcast? The podcast is an audio version of The Daily Show. I read an article online and listened to the first episode. Yeah, so this is so interesting. All you have to do is do a search for Young and the Restless podcasts, and it'll come up if you want to see it. It's just an audio digest of each episode. So there's just not a commentary. It's just listening to the audio file of each Young and the Restless episode, which, by the way, is really wonderful for anyone who's visually impaired. Or if you're just someone who needs to power through the week. Maybe you can't sit down and give it the attention to sit down and watch it, but maybe you could listen to it while you're driving or cleaning your house or doing any other number of kind of menial, mundane tasks. And you can also, if you decide to do that, you can always just listen to the audio, and then you can go to yrchat.com and look at my collection of the screen caps from the show so that you can see the important visual elements, like what is Sally wearing today? Oh, that just about does it for me for this week, but not before I want to give a beautiful birthday shout out to Glenda, whose birthday is October 15th. That's next upcoming Saturday. So Glenda, you'll have to come to the website and give us your ideal birthday night out or day out in Genoa City. I really love this idea as a tradition. So like each year when you get your birthday shout out, come to the website and tell me what you would do if you got to have a Genoa City birthday. Like where would you want to go? Who would you want to see? Who would you not want to see? And we'll just see where, what would be our best birthday Genoa City bash each year. I kind of love that idea. Okay. Well, I think that just about takes me to the end. So it's your turn to take over. Go to yrchat.com to leave your comments, vote in the polls, let me know what you think of new Tucker, also known as Trevor St. John. Guess the Who Said It quote, and just chat with some of us, look at the pictures. There's lots to do there, and I've got lots to do during the week. I will come back next Sunday and put it all together, and we will have another chat about it. I love you guys. Have a really good week. Bye.